What's up, everybody? Welcome to Podcast Now. I'm Alex, and in this video, I want to talk a little bit about the Herbology professor in Hogwarts Legacy, but also talk about kind of their plan with these professors and an interesting idea I have for it. I was kind of wrong, or I was off with the students when they did the friends, right, the companions. I kind of had a prediction of where that was going to go. Because of that, I don't think what I'm about to suggest is going to happen, but I definitely want to throw it out there just to see what you guys think. So let's start there. That's probably the more interesting thing anyway. So right now we've gotten 3 different professors from their Twitter, right? They're giving us a new picture of them, and they're giving us their background. Now there's many more that they can still do that we already know exist in the school, right? That we've seen, like in a state of play or whatever. There are a couple left that they can still do, including even Fig. They really could even do something on him, and I wouldn't be surprised if they ended on him. But my suggestion would be end on the Headmaster. Now, this is one that I wanted to throw it out there to see what you guys think. I don't think they're going to do this. This would be the same thing. And now things have kind of spiraled with the companion stuff and Ravenclaw and all that, but I thought what they were going to do with that one is do the 3 we already knew, the friends, okay, or whatever you want to say. I know it's confusing. And then do the Ravenclaw one as the last one. Technically, they did do that. They did it much, much later, and you could argue if he's even a companion, and we've had those long arguments. But the point is, I guess they kind of did it, but they also kind of didn't. So I'm suggesting end on the Headmaster once you're done with these professors. Like I said, you've already done 3. You got about 3 to 4 left. I mean, you could really do 6 of these in all, and I think be completely fine. But to end it on who the Headmaster is, now I guess the question would be, right, do they want to introduce somebody new? And that's kind of where I was coming from with the companion thing, right? They didn't really seem to want to do that, at least in the moment, okay, right? They're doing the Monday, Wednesday, Friday thing. They're separating the professors a little bit more than they did the companions, but the companions was the Monday, Wednesday, Friday, but they were already what we knew, right? They were the companions we saw in the state of play. And again, I thought maybe they would do Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, and then they would do Thursday, and it would be the Ravenclaw one. So I could see this professor thing going on for a couple more weeks, really, because if you did even 2 a week, or even if you did 3 a week, you could still do this for another 2 weeks and be fine with people that we've actually seen. But I just think kind of giving us that Headmaster, I mean, we've all kind of, well, I don't know, like whenever I think that we've figured it out, right, and I do think it's Black as the Headmaster, but yet again, I've felt confident in the past, and so it would be nice of them to kind of throw it our way, because I do think it's not something they're going to be able to hide when the game, it's like you're going to find it out within the first probably 20 minutes of the game, and it still is a surprise going into it. Like, you won't know who the Headmaster is for sure until the game starts, but like, it's not something that's like 30 hours into the game, like it's this deep dark secret of how the game ends. You're gonna find it out rather early. So I would say just give it to us as a cherry on top, as like a final kind of offering to the fans, and it would make sense because it also, by the way, is a professor, right? The Headmaster, you could still call them a professor, so it still fits in with the with what they're doing right now. So let's talk about this Herbology teacher, which, as Chandler pointed out, there was the thought that it was like Thistlewood, but turns out obviously it's not. It's Mirabelle, and I hope I'm gonna say this right. I do think the pronunciation is supposed to be pretty simple though. So Mirabelle Garlic, and I do think you say it as that because Chandler posted a picture of Garlic, which got everybody, including myself, thinking vampires, and that obviously wasn't the case. So the tweet says, from mandrakes to venomous tentacula, and maybe I'm not saying that right either, learn from the best with Hogwarts' Herbology extraordinaire. And one thing I want to talk about before we read her bio is the picture. One thing people have kind of noticed, and when we noticed this actually with the last professor, right, the Charms one, in that, well, this one is a little bit like, it's a different kind of picture. It's a different framing of her than what we saw in the state of play. But I think what people are noticing is they look better. They definitely look better now in these pictures than they did, in the game. Now, there's only 2 ways this can go. Number one is there's been improvements made to the facial feature. So when the game comes out, they will look more like this than they did at this state of play back in March. Okay, that is one way of looking at it. Or, and both of these happen, or when the game comes out, it's going to be kind of noticeably, you'll be able to notice, oh, she doesn't look as good as she does here, and you'll be able to kind of, pick that out. It's kind of a 50-50 thing. Some games actually kind of improve over time. Each time you see it, it gets better, and then when the game comes out, it's the best version of it. Sometimes there are noticeable downgrades from when the game releases to what we saw leading into it. Hopefully, this one is, it's only going to get better. So you got the picture of her, and then you have her description. London-born Professor Garlick grew up in a household full of muggles and didn't really feel at home until she was a student at Hogwarts. In fact, she will tell you it was at the famed School of Witchcraft and Wizardry that she finally blossomed herself and discovered her extraordinary affinity for magical plants. Her sunny demeanor and flowery language charm colleagues and students alike, prompting some students to worry she may one day leave them for another greenhouse. But Mirabelle Garlick would never leave her students, so even if the right witch were to come along, she'd simply have to love Hogwarts as much as Mirabelle does. And this does kind of match her personality that, I mean, look, we get very little from her in the State of Play. We really get very little from a lot of the professors in the State of Play, but you do kind of sense like this bubbly, like this kind of like full of life, and she seems very, very nice. She seems like she's going to be the nicest one to you, or maybe the most understanding, right? And you can get that all just from, I guess, her facial animations, really. Again, like they did a pretty solid job there. And then reading this, yeah, kind of backs it up, right? That the fact that she is so charming that everybody kind of likes her, to the point that some people are actually afraid that she'll leave and she won't be the teacher anymore. So I really like that. And again, as I've said before, we said this in live streams. I think I said this with Ben last week. I love that they're doing this. There's something with professors in Hogwarts, and well, I guess Wizarding World in general, right? Like the Harry Potter books and movies, the professors are so cool. Like I almost like more of the professors more than I like more of the students. It's almost that, that kind of mix there. So them doing this and having this deep dive into professors in this game, honestly, it almost, again, hits me more, or I like it more than learning about the students, the companions that they've already done. So keep it up. Like I said, keep doing this. I'm sure they will. They got a couple more to go, and then we'll see if they end on. And again, like, they kind of did with the companions, but the question is, did they show us the Ravenclaw because of the arguments online? And I almost feel like that is the reason. I think their plan truly was to show us the three we already knew and leave it. But then because that blew up so much in, well, is there not a Ravenclaw person? Like, you know what I mean? Like, and I don't want to always go back to the Ravenclaw thing because I know people are kind of sick of it, but I do think it's important because why did they end up taking so many weeks off and then showing a Ravenclaw student much later? And again, they characterized him much differently than the other companions. So I feel like that wasn't part of their plans. So the question here is it going to be the same thing? Are they only planning on showing us the teachers, the professors that we already know? In which case, they still have probably half of them left, right? Roughly. Or is the plan to do that and then give us kind of like one extra? And it doesn't even have to be, I know I've mentioned the headmaster. Doesn't necessarily have to be the headmaster. Could be just somebody else, another teacher that we haven't seen yet. So we'll see which road they go down with this. But let me know what you guys think in the comments. Make sure you guys are subscribed, bell icon turned on. If you want to follow or support me anywhere else, all my social media is in the description below. Thank you guys for watching, and I'll see you all on the next one.